Hello, Year 8. First of all, you guys should know that on Friday, the 5th of February and Monday, the 8th of February, you will be working independently. Now, as one of our independent tasks, we would like you to do some research and take this opportunity to find out more about First World War battles, things that we don't get a chance to look at in as much depth in our scheme of work. Now, what I would like you to do, guys, is take this opportunity to find a World War I battle that you are personally really interested in. Now, you might not know which battle you're really interested in yet, but you will, hopefully, after a bit more research. So let's get started on this independent task, where you can get the chance to find out more about World War I battles, which is something we won't be covering in as much detail in our lessons. Now, hopefully, you're really interested in what happened during the First World War battles. One of the battles that we do look at in lots of depth in lesson is the Battle of Somme. Now, we're going to be starting the Battle of Somme in the week following this period where you will be working independently. So that's why I'm going to ask you not to choose the Battle of Somme in your study, because we will be doing that in lesson, and to be honest, it'll be a bit of a waste of your time if you do go over that as well as go over it in lesson. I think it's better that you take this as an opportunity to find out more about another important and interesting battle, rather than repeating one that you're going to be doing in lesson anyway. Okay, so you're going to have to choose one battle from the First World War that you're really interested in studying. Now, some of you might be completely unaware about any of the battles from the First World War. So what I've placed on this slide for you are some examples. You can see here that there are a range of different examples of some interesting and significant battles from the First World War. Some of these you might have heard of. Now, what I would say is there is one particular that stands out as being slightly different, which is the most significant naval battle of the First World War, which is the Battle of Jutland. Now, ultimately, if you're interested in naval warfare, you might want to study that one. Now, the Battle of Verdun is another interesting one because the Battle of Verdun happened just before the Battle of Somme, and they do have some connections. So if you want to find out about the Battle of Verdun, that could be an interesting one for you to study. Now, obviously, some of you, again, might not know anything about any of these battles and might not know which one you want to focus on. Go on to the next slide to find out a tip of how you could decide which one you're going to look at. Now, as I've just mentioned, some of you might need a little bit of inspiration. So this is a great video to get you started if you're not sure where to begin. This video is from the Imperial War Museum, and it talks through the top 10 most important and significant battles of the First World War. Now, I would recommend watching the entire video straight through, because then you can decide which one of the battles sounds the most interesting to you, and then that way you can begin your research at least by knowing the battle that you're going to be looking at. One of the top 10 battles that's in this video, though, is the Battle of Somme. And as I've already mentioned, we will be looking at this in lots of detail in lesson, so you shouldn't pick the Battle of Somme. Instead, choose a different battle so you can get a greater grasp of the different battles from the First World War. Like I said, guys, you can find this video by looking on YouTube. You could type in Battles of the First World War, top 10 most important, or if you look in the description box now on my YouTube video, you will find the link for this Imperial War Museum video. This will hopefully get you started with your research. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is the best way to present the information that you collect from your research? Well, for some of you, it might be best just to make some notes about the battle that you've researched. But some of you might want to get a bit more creative with it and actually create a project with your research. So here are some examples of things you could do with your research once you've collected it. You could make a PowerPoint presentation about the battle that you've chosen. You could write a detailed report about what happened during the battle. You might want to make a booklet with information and pictures included. You might want to actually be really creative and make your own film or documentary about the battle. Now remember, this means that you don't just send in one that you found, you can perhaps film yourself as a news presenter talking through the events of the battle. You could write the events from the perspective of a soldier or a civilian from the time. So after you've found out about the battle itself, you could talk about what happened in the battle through the perspective of a soldier in a diary entry, as an example. You might also want to make a poster. That basically would include information and pictures about the battle that you have looked at. So these are just some examples of how you could present the research that you've collected. Of course, there are lots of other examples that you might want to choose, and that's up to you. But these are just some examples to get you started. Now, obviously, we would love to see the examples of what you collect. from your research. We would love to see your projects that you make if you make one too. So if you do want to send us pictures of the project that you make, or for example, if you make a PowerPoint presentation, you could always send it to your teachers and we will let you know what we think of your research project. We would love to see it. So hopefully, guys, you managed to really find out a lot of information about one particular First World War battle. Now remember, there's lots of interesting stuff to be found here. So choose the one that you think is particularly interesting and get lost with it. Find out lots of information and present it in a way that makes you feel proud and interested. Now, that leads us to the end of this explanation, guys. So now it's up to you. You need to go off and complete your independent research. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy it.